This video I'm going to ask what's missing from meditation. So perhaps a slightly provocative question. I love to meditate. I've been meditating for years. I've done retreats, stayed at monasteries, etc. Meditation, absolutely fantastic thing. What I've also noticed though is in the meditation population, certain trends, shall we say, and looking at it more widely, we could say that certain things aren't present. So what kind of stuff am I talking about? Well, I'd say relational practice is the big one. So we're relational creatures. Now, the basic Buddhist tradition was somewhat renunciate. People would give up that, go to the forest, either on their own or in small groups. Monks might have to come together at certain times of years, like in the rains, but generally we're more off on their own. That's not to say community or sangha, as it's called in Buddhism, isn't a big thing. Obviously, there's ethical practices that involve others, but there's no relational mindfulness practice. Yeah, there isn't a practice. For example, circling would be a relational mindfulness practice. Now, is this more modern practice? What I think that misses often a bridge. So I go off from a retreat, I'm on my own, I'm getting very quiet, very concentrated, insights, aware of my body, aware of my thoughts, etc. And I come back to say, I don't know, coaching someone, training someone, or just hanging out with my wife or whatever, and I haven't transferred some of that learning. There needs to be a bridge. So one thing I like to do with students is have them meditate and then open their eyes, look around, and then talk a little bit, but talking very mindfully, listening very mindfully, and layering it up. So there's a bridge between a more daily life kind of social interaction, which is difficult to stay mindful for. That's an advanced practice, and sitting on the cushion on one's own. So that's one thing I think is perhaps, a big one that's perhaps missing there. Movement sometimes, the body, expressiveness. Yes, the body's involved in meditation, but what about the expressive body, the moving body, the really kind of letting the body move in a dynamic kind of way? So for me, some sort of dance practice like 5 rhythms can be a really good addition to meditation. The other thing I'd say is the systematic application of pressure and stress. So it's not that if you sit it's easy, you'll get knee pain, you get psychological and emotional pain to work with, but it's not necessarily systematic. So I think we can work more intelligently with being relaxed in the face of pressure. And what I do notice with a lot of meditators is they're fine if they're on their own and there's no pressure. Well, fucking we're not on our own, and there's pressure in life. So getting used to being mindful in relationship, 1, and 2, some sort of practice with pressure and stress. That could be yoga with difficult postures, it could be martial arts, this could be improv, and there's lots of possibilities. But learning to work systematically with pressure and stress. So mindfulness, great. I think, building awareness, concentration, positive affect, super useful for all of us, in life generally. And, mindfulness alone, meditation alone is not enough to develop certain skills and capacities, which I think are vital in the modern world to take that learning off the cushion.